Chriselle.
We're going to be bringing you a little funny, a little crazy, and a whole lot of reality. So welcome back, everybody. So this episode is the 4th episode of our special 4-part series. Obviously, Chriselle is not Roland.
No.
Much prettier, much prettier.
Thanks.
So my best friend is visiting from San Diego, and if you haven't listened to the last 3 episodes of this special 4-part series, I definitely encourage you to go back and listen. The first episode was basically an intro, just letting you guys know who she is and, where she's coming from. You guys have listened to me talk on and on and on for the last 20 episodes, so it was kind of a brief intro to her. In the last 2 episodes, we were discussing some really interesting dating things. And, my best friend, I refer to her as my sister, so you'll hear that interchangeably. But she is a super sexy, sassy single female. So you have the different dynamic with the two of us. Obviously, I'm in a relationship with Roland, and she is the super sexy single. So our conversations are always very interesting. We've been best friends for quite a few years now.
A couple.
Yeah. I think if I were to give you a number, it would tell you how old we are. And I don't feel like doing that this episode, guys. But needless to say, we've been best friends for more than half our lives, almost. Yes, actually, more than half our lives.
Yes, more.
Wow.
More than half. Hey.
Man, that's a long time. But seriously, so we have delved into the craziness of online dating and how different dating is now than it was like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, before the big explosion of social media and the different platforms. And just, I think people's understandings of dating has changed as well. So this episode, we're going to talk about something that seems to happen
A lot.
more often to women than it does to men. And some of you may have had it happen to you. Some of you may have done it. But we're going to kind of dive into it. And we're going to be discussing ghosting.
Boo.
Right? And being close to Halloween, you might be thinking, oh, they're going to talk about some Halloween decorations. No. That is not what we're discussing. So for those of you that may not be in the know, ghosting is disappearing. Now, some of you, you know what? That's a good question. I heard that come from the audience, even though I can't hear you. Some of you may be asking, well, why would somebody just disappear? You know what? That is a good question. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. So I guess I'll start with this. Since you are in the dating scene right now, is this something that you have experienced, or is this something that you've done? Or let's talk about what your experiences have been, if at all.
Ghosting. Yeah, I've been ghosted, and it was kind of weird. And the first time it happened, I did not know what it was till somebody else had to tell me what it was, and I totally didn't understand it, and I was kind of sad.
So what happened?
Actually, I had talked to a guy, seemed like a totally solid guy. We talked on the phone. We had really good chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
He was hot. That didn't hurt at
right.
all.
That always helps.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, he just cut all communication. Yeah, that's about the look I had. Like, what happened?
Did you reach out to him and try and message him, or had you met in person at this point?
We did not meet in person. Things were going that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I did reach out after a week, which normally I wouldn't even do.
Mm-hmm.
But I did because the chemistry was really good with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I did reach out, and I kind of took some of the stuff that he said as BS, and I was like, okay, we're done.
So he just gave you some random excuse.
It was something about his kid. His kid was sick, and I just took it as BS and was like, whatever.
And he didn't try and reach out after that?
I blocked him, so I don't know.
Oh, well, all right then. So there's that.
I'm good for that.
Okay. Okay. Kind of something, I don't want to say similar, but, you know, in the process, while I was dating before Roland and I had gotten together, kind of something similar happened. It was, you know, I was on one of the dating platforms, and this guy that I was talking to seemed like a really good dude. We had a lot in common, and all of a sudden, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Just like nothing out of nowhere. So I sent a message. I think it was maybe a couple of days later, like, hey, you know, hope you're having a good day. Haven't heard from you, whatever. Nothing.
Oh.
At all.
Not even an I'm sorry? Or
Nope. And then Roland and I started dating.
So,
and then I got a message. Hey, how have you been? I'm so sorry. I was so busy with work. No. What happened was you started dating somebody,
mm-hmm.
and that didn't work out. So now you're trying to reach back out. No, thank you.
Yep.
I didn't even respond. I blocked him and kept it moving.
Yep. Because why bother trying? I'm sorry. It takes 2 seconds to send a text.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a whack little, hi, hey,
right.
Hello, good morning.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I think for me is a huge red flag. Huge red flag. Like if you can't even take 2 seconds, like you said, to send a hey text message or super busy at work, I'll message you later.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Like I get it. There have been times where I've been completely slammed at work and I don't check my phone for an hour or two, and I'll see that Roland's messaged me or whatever, and I'll respond immediately. I'm so sorry. Been really busy. I'll message you later.
Yes.
It doesn't take very long.
No, it doesn't.
Because guess what? You probably use the restroom sometime in that period of time.
And most of us are on the phone.
Exactly. So if you can be on the phone scrolling Facebook or Instagram, you can take 2 seconds to send a text message.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things, like your excuses after the fact, if you do get one, because this guy didn't even respond back to my text message until a couple weeks later, are pretty BS.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you ghost and then all of a sudden pop up later,
you're annoying.
You are super annoying, because guess what? That tells us that you were talking to somebody else. It didn't work out. So now we're your second choice? I don't think so.
Right.
That is not how this works.
And the sad thing is even if that's not the case, which with some guys that is not the case, they legitimately were busy, or they legitimately were just, I don't know, doing whatever they were doing. It tells us we are not your first choice, and that's how it feels. And for those of us that are strong and not willing to deal with that, we're gonna walk.
Right. And I'm not saying, so you brought up a good point. If you're super slammed with work and work is your priority, that's fine. Work can be your priority. You can be a super business guy, whatever. But there needs to be some kind of communication. Mm-hmm. And if you're not at that point in your relationship or in a relationship where it's a communication thing and you feel you need to, then I'm not the one for you.
Yep.
And you need somebody that is okay with not hearing from you.
Find a young 20-year-old.
Oh, no, they're even more needy.
You would think.
From what I've heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense, yeah.
So if work is your priority, that's fine.
Because who doesn't like a guy that's actually working and doing what he's supposed to?
Exactly. It's just about the communication piece. And if I know from the beginning where your priorities are, then I can adjust accordingly. Mm-hmm. And there have been relationships where I spent a significant amount of time with the person that I was dating, and our schedules were able to work that way, where we were able to spend time together, and then go to work and do whatever. And there were other relationships that we really barely saw each other ever. And that's just how it was, because that was what the expectation was that we set out in the beginning of the relationship. So it's really kind of just bullcrap. It's an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop communicating,
don't be surprised when she does the same.
Right? And honestly, it's a cowardly way to handle anything. Like, who does that?
A lot of people. A lot of people do that.
It's really irritating because honestly, like I said, it's a really cowardly way. Like, why would you do that? Is it because you are trying to keep the line in the water because you're talking to another female and you don't want to tell this other female, you know what? I'm talking to somebody. Maybe if it doesn't work out, whatever. So you think she's going to be stupid and you're just going to ghost her and she's not going to know that that's what you were doing?
So I'm going to halfway stick up for the guys right here.
Okay.
So not fully, but I think a lot of guys do it because they can't either. Let's say, for example, if they have gone ahead and they have told another female in the past, like, hey, this is what's going on, I'm seeing this other chick, because some guys will do that,
right?
And be very upfront.
I did have a guy say that to me, and I told him, I respect you for letting me know.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And I have had it happen to me too, and I had the same reaction. I think with a lot of guys, they have probably maybe brought it up to a female in the past and tried to be upfront, and it didn't go so well. This is my thinking.
Okay.
I think it hasn't gone so well. So then when they finally meet someone like us, who is very accepting and very open and would rather have the truth,
right?
They are too afraid because of something that has happened that she will go off, or because, women do that.
What?
I know.
No, I've heard of crazy. Roland has crazy stories.
Yeah, and I have heard some of them too, where it's and I'm not going to say we're completely innocent, but right. I would much rather have someone be open and upfront with me, like, hey, I'm dating this other chick, I'm kind of into her. Come on, I've got brothers, I know how this works.
Right.
Like, it's okay.
I think you'd have to be kind of dumb to really expect, unless you have the discussion where you are, what's the word? When you are exclusive. Thank you. If you had the discussion that you are exclusive, that's different. But until you really have that discussion, it's assumptions.
Yes.
And the other person could be dating a bunch of people. You can be dating a bunch of people. Unless that card is played, you don't have the expectation of exclusion. So I don't understand how guys can, it's just, to me, again, I can see your point, but to me, it's still very cowardly.
Oh, no, I agree. It's very cowardly because, again, if you bring it to one of us, we're going to be very upfront. Like, dude, thanks for giving me the heads up. Like that's cool. I've actually had one guy that I met in person and he upfront, hey, what is it that you're looking for?
Right.
And I hate it when they bring that up, but I love it at the same time because, hey, let's put our cards on the table.
Right.
What is it you're looking for? I was like, well, I explained to him what I was looking for. That's not what he was looking for. He was fresh out of a relationship. He was like, dude, I work 3 jobs. He was like, I don't have the time, but I'm interested. Okay, well, if you work 3 jobs and you're not interested in what I'm interested in, you just save both of us a ton of time.
Right.
And I appreciate that. And I told him that. Hey, thanks. Cool. Maybe later on. I don't know. Again, he got blocked. Whatever. But I would rather have that up front. Be upfront with me because I'm going to be upfront with you.
Right. And it's crazy that you brought that up because that's a really good point too. For me, I'm very upfront about my expectations. And I got to the point where, you know what? I am too old. I don't want to say old.
No, say it because that's exactly where we're at.
To be messing around I'm not dating just for the simple of being a cougar out there dating all these dudes.
No.
That's not what I'm about. If I'm dating you, it's because I see something or I would like this to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So before I met Roland and the dates that I had gone out on, I tried to have that conversation with somebody. And I said, where do you see this? And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's really soon to be discussing those. No, it's really not. Because if we're not on the same page from jump.
Let's part ways.
Exactly. I'm not wasting your time. Like you said, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you to waste my time.
Yes.
I really don't understand why that's such a
scary
thing to think about.
I don't know.
Because it's not like you can't change your mind. If you just want to casually date, good. Okay, that's great. I'm glad you let me know that. You're obviously not the person that I would like to date.
Right.
Because I'm not trying to casually date. If you're saying you're looking to see where this could potentially go,
okay, cool.
You're looking for a long-term relationship, okay, cool. Let's see where this goes. But that still leaves the option open that, you know what, after a couple of dates, this isn't, we're not working, thank you very much. But at least you tried.
Exactly.
But don't just bail and not give anybody a damn explanation.
And I think a lot of that has come forward with all of the social media platforms, with all of the online dating, because it is so easy to move on to the next one and not have to explain. I think a lot of people now are not held as accountable as they were, for example, 10 years ago before all of this opened up.
Right. I agree. Because like you said, and even further back, if you want to look at, I guess our parents' generation, people didn't move as often. People were not as nomadic, I guess, as they are now. I'll use me, for example, or we'll say military members. They move constantly, right? And so there's constantly a fresh meat, so to
nice
speak.
way to put it, but yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's constantly options. You're always in a different environment. There's always options. So you kind of have this mentality that, you know what, if it doesn't work, whatever, there's plenty of options. I can move somewhere else. Whereas before, in our parents' generation or our grandparents' generation, they didn't move. Most of them, and I mean, I can speak for both of us, our parents grew up in the same house. Like their parents bought the house and or grew up there. Our parents grew up there. People didn't move. So if you broke up with, your boyfriend or girlfriend, you still had to see them.
Ugh.
You still had to see their families, or you still had to see whatever, because they all lived
right
close
there.
by.
Yes.
Everybody knew everybody. Families knew each other.
Yes.
I know of families that my mom grew up with, or that my aunts and uncles grew up with, and they all still talk. And this is like 60 years ago, So I think the population is very different. The demographics are very different. People move a lot more. So there's the, oh, who cares? I'm leaving soon anyways.
Different
I don't have to
codes.
see them.
Pretty much.
Luda. So it's very different nowadays. And like you said, people aren't held accountable. People have very different morals than they used to. A lot more people they're raised very differently. So I think that contributes a lot to it as well.
One of the big ones that my brother and I, we tried to analyze a lot of the online dating, because we both tried it, because he's single too. And so we both tried to analyze it, but with a guy's perspective, right? So one of the things that we really came up with, because we were having a hard time with that same issue, was people who don't honor their word. And we were trying to figure out why it was such, and I think you and I have had this conversation too, how odd it is that people do not honor their word like they did back then.
Right.
And I don't know if I can stress enough how critical it is. That's a part of your character.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot honor your word, you have nothing.
Right.
And it's sad, but a lot of people don't honor their word anymore. They just throw out whatever they think it is that you want to hear. If they even, at this point, if they even throw it out, and just keep going about their life like they're doing nothing wrong.
Right. Yep. And I think that also goes back to morals and how people are raised. And I agree. I think that a lot of it is your word and it's your morals, and not just, it's rough, guys. It is rough out there. If you are dating right now, it is super rough. If you are not dating right now, count your blessings.
I agree. I fully agree.
Right? So in this episode, we discussed a really horrendous thing that people continue to do. And I'm sure there are some females that do it also. But it seems to be a predominantly more male type trait that happens. And for whatever the reason is, it sucks. Stop doing it.
Don't do it. It's rude.
It really is. Like, if you are afraid of how the female is going to react, guys, say your piece, send it in a text message, whatever, and then block her. But at least you said your piece. At least you let her know that it wasn't working, that you weren't feeling her, that whatever. But don't be a douchebag. And then think that you're just going to pop back up later in a couple weeks. And ladies, don't let him pop back up in a couple weeks.
Yes.
If he's doing that to you, he's obviously showing you that you are not a priority to him. Mm-hmm. And why are you going to allow somebody to treat you that way? If you're not a priority to them, they should not be a priority to you.
Valid.
Mm-hmm. So know your self-worth, ladies. Well, this episode was the last episode of our special 4-part series. I will definitely be having my best friend in future episodes. So if you guys enjoyed these past 4 episodes, definitely leave us some comments. If you want to hear more, let me know, and we will definitely intersperse some more episodes with my sister in the next coming weeks. But thanks for listening, everybody. If you haven't heard the last 3, I highly recommend go and download them. You can go to our website at rrwithrr.com, download the episodes there. We're on Facebook, Instagram, all those wonderful things. So until next time, everybody, see you later.
Bye.